Hi guys, I'm back. We're doing another craft thing today. We're working with our freeze-dried breast milk again. Um, my last um, freeze-dried breast milk projects, I was using UV resin, and I'm not quite happy with how they turned out, especially like this little baby, which is on the thick side, and I had to do it in a lot of layers, and you lose the detail of the face. So I'm going to give them a try with some epoxy resin this time. It's a two-part low odor epoxy resin, and I've heard this is a good one. It's low odor bleh, low odor, so it doesn't have lots of fumes, but I have fans going, I have dehumidifiers, lots of ventilation down here in the basement. Window just behind me and whatnot. Do have some gloves I'll be using. And out of the research that I was doing, this is one of the least toxic versions of a two-part epoxy for crafts. So that's why I'm going with this one. I've got a bunch of molds here set up. I've got some colors that I can add, and including some glitter. And we're just going to see how this stuff does. I'm also going to test using the dehydrator, which is just behind the cameras here, as kind of see if the heat from the dehydrator will help cure it faster. Instead of 24 hours, I heard putting it in a dehydrator can be cured at rock solid, not sticky, in a matter of 2 hours. So we're going to give that a little bit of a try. So let me put some gloves on. So I have a scale here, and this resin we use, it's a 1-to-1 ratio by weight. And I'm also going to try another little hack I heard. Because I have some of these molds have really tiny openings, and trying to pour through this is going to be really cumbersome. So I'm going to try mixing my resin in a bag, in a little baggie. Hopefully this will even help with cleanup too. So I've zeroed or tared my scale. And let's go with like 100 ounces or 100 grams. There we go, 100 grams of part A. Now we add 100 grams of part B. There we go, right on 200 grams of epoxy. So let's see if I can get this zipped up. And now I need to mix it for about 3 minutes. Okay, so it's been a few minutes. I've actually decided I'm going to do 1 tray in the dehydrator, and then I'm going to try another tray in the freeze dryer. However, I'm just going to use the vacuum and heat settings. I'm not going to actually put it through freeze dry cycle, just the vacuum chamber. I'm about to do another oil change, and this will get totally cleaned out afterwards, as well as what we call a bread run to help pull out any fumes or toxins, just like when we get the brand new machine, to pull out any resin, epoxy, fumes and toxins that they use in the making of the freeze dryer. So should be fine. So we've mixed up our epoxy in our little baggie, and I am going to add some of the breast milk. So this is breast milk that was freeze dried. It's a little flaky. A little dark speck got in there. That's okay. And we're gonna add a little bit of pink. Mama had a baby girl and wanted some pink keepsakes. So we're gonna add a little bit of this pink powder. Hopefully that does it. Again, going to close it up. All right, so we're going to try and work in some of this pink powder and the breast milk. I think I need a lot more pink. There we go. We're starting to get some pink in there. All right. Just a moment. I'll be right back. I just got to grab my scissors. All right. I got my scissors. Now, this is, I think, my 3rd time working with resins. So, again, I'm learning. I'm by no means an expert. Let's see if not bad. The chunks of breast milk are causing some issues, but not too bad. It's totally doable. Ah, maybe. This is my first time doing beads like this. I don't know the best way to fill them without making a huge mess. I'm working over a silicone mat, so it's easy to clean. So now I'm just using a spatula, a putty knife, and I'm going to help scrape off and move the epoxy around, try and banging bubbles out to make sure that we get nice and full, especially with these dang beads. I don't know if I'm going to like doing beads. Round beads, at least. Go. All right, that was a bit of a mess, a bit of a chore. But we have our 2 trays. I took out the molds that I didn't get filled with our 200 grams of epoxy. But that's okay. So I'm going to put this tray into the dehydrator. Like I said, it's just off camera, just behind. I have seen others who have done done a quick cure in a dehydrator, and they noticed that because of the fan at the back, it moves some of the epoxy. So with my parchment paper that I put down to help with math and make sure that I'm not getting epoxy onto my trays, this is going to be up at the back, kind of like a windbreak for the back of the dehydrator to diffuse some of the blowing from the fan. And then we'll get this one in the freeze dryer behind me, like I said, on a heat and vacuum setting. Actually, I think I'm going to use the candy setting because that has heat and vacuum with very minimal cooling, and it's quick cycles. So I'm going to put these in the 2 machines, and we'll be back in a little bit. All right, so it's been 2 hours. I just pulled this out of the dehydrator that is just back there. They're not sticky tacky. However, they're very soft. Soft and bendy. So they still need to harden up. So it's actually late in the evening. So I think I am going to just let it sit again in the dehydrator, because this is the basement. It is on the cooler side. In the dehydrator with just like the residual heat that's left from having it on, I had it set to about 90. It's the lowest this dehydrator goes. My little trick of putting the parchment paper one underneath to protect my tray, but 2, this little flip up to keep the fan from blowing around the God, words today. The fan from blowing around the liquid epoxy, the liquid resin. Let's see, I can. All right. So it's set enough that I can pull it out, but I can quite easily bend and distort it. But wow, that's pretty. It's just a pale pink with a little bit, the little flecks of breast milk in there. So these are turning out really nice, but they're not quite done yet. So like I said, I'm going to leave them in the dehydrator with a little bit of heat on so that they can fully set up and get hardened. They'll probably be good tomorrow morning. So they have cured a lot quicker than if you just let them sit by themselves. They would still be tacky. Like there's a bit here on the table that got spilled, and it is very tacky. I really shouldn't be touching it with my fingers, but oh well. And the freeze dryer. So the ones here from the freeze dryer, I put it in on candy mode first, And when the vacuum came on, they started to bubble up. Bubbled up too much. So this one here, this mold here was up to the top, just how this one was. But it bubbled up to the point that I'm now missing some, and like it bubbled over. So I stopped the vacuum right away, and then I just let it sit with the heat for about 10 minutes, and then I just turned it off. No vacuum, no heat, and let it cool, do its thing. 2 hours later, come down, and it was actually quite cold. It's probably about 60, between 65 and 66, 67 degrees down here. So it's a little on the cold side for doing resin. But it is, as you can see, this is still it's not very sticky, but very pliable. They are nowhere near ready to come out of the molds. So you said this one just totally overflowed. Thankfully, I have the parchment paper. But yeah, they're still a little bit on the tacky side, but have not hardened at all. Where the dehydrator ones, I was able to get it out of the mold. Freeze dryer, no, there's that's still too sticky, still too tacky. It's not going to come out of the mold. So I'm going to put these. Actually, I'm going to transfer these onto a dehydrator tray, and they'll finish up in the dehydrator. The one thing I'm curious to see about, I guess probably these two would be the easiest to compare once it's done, because they're squares. Or even like, say, these are kind of close. But look at the bubbles versus, so these ones had a vacuum on them, and we'll see how clear they come out, versus the ones in the dehydrator that didn't go through a vacuum stage. So I'm going to put these back in the dehydrator, both sets into the dehydrator, and we'll check on them again in the morning. All right, I'm back. So, life happens. I put, after the 2 hours, they were still so soft. I put them back in to the dehydrator, and I actually took the ones that were in the freeze dryer and I put them in the dehydrator as well, because they were just way too soft still. And I noticed with the freeze dryer, they were bubbling up so much. So this mold here was filled to the top, but now there's like almost a 1/4 inch that ended up bubbling up and spilling out. Pull it out, and don't know if you can see, but there's all these little bubbles, all like, it's very bubbly, especially around the top. And even so, this side here was the ones that were in the freeze dryer first, and then they finished in the dehydrator. This side just did dehydrator. So again, the freeze dried side, there's more bubbles, and especially a higher lip at the edge than like this comes up. Then on this side, where I don't know if it'll be easy to see, so square beads, they each have a hole inside, small and bigger ones. But I don't know if you can see this one. The top is near flat. This one, like I said, it's got a lip of bubbled resin around the edges. So, and again, dehydrated side, freeze-dried side. This one has a little bit of bubbling along the edges. I guess I didn't hit it all with the lighter when I did, but tons more bubbles, a huge lip, and like I said, it actually, a bunch of the resin overflowed. So on that, I will not be putting them ever into the freeze dryer anymore, using the vacuum. It just adds too much bubbles, and I don't know if you can even see on the edge of this side. There's bubbles, and it's smooth, but it's got bubbles in, like, pitting from bubbles in the surface, where all of these ones are nice and flat. There's a few little bubbles because, like, I'm still learning, and from the stirring, but that is just gorgeous to add to a keychain, or once I take the edges off, maybe a little necklace pendant. Put some other ones over here. The edges still need to be cleaned off, but it's a nice soft pink pendant or a ring. Again, you can wear it as a ring, add it to a pendant, add it to a keychain. These ones are cute. We've got little baby bottle, pacifiers, little itty bitty feet. They're just so cute, little hands. And like I said, these have a slight pink to them because they're for a girl. They had a baby girl. Again, I've got some round beads, some square beads, and I just love this cute little sleeping baby, little baby bum. See the detail in the face. A good little baby bum. And the ones on this blue silicone mat. So like I said, there's the bubble pitting from being in the vacuum. But on the other side, I don't know if you can see it, but the rainbow, that is actually the way that the mat is finished on the inside. It gives that rainbow effect without adding anything to the actual resin. So a lot of my crafts are a lot of trial and error. This one, like I said, because of the vacuum, it pulled out and spilled over, so they're all kind of attached, and you can see the bubbles. And then it left, you know, because a lot of the resin got pulled out and settled on top, it left like an indent where, as if it wasn't full enough. So I do need to clean off the edges, practice some more, but you know, that'll be nice as a necklace and a nice gift or keepsake for mom, grandma, even maybe dad's keychain. So I'm going to play some more with these. I'll probably only use the dehydrator for quick curing, more so because it is on the cool side in my basement. Like 68, maybe 66. It's winter. It's a basement. In Canada, we've got a couple feet of snow. So use the dehydrator as just kind of a warm spot to let them cure. But not necessarily just to do a quick cure. Probably just leave stuff overnight and let it cure the way it's supposed to. But yeah. So another craft playing with and seeing how things go. Because why not? I'll see you next time.